Here is my new project. A mud motor on an aluminum boat. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to put one of these kits on a 6.5 horsepower Predator engine. Before I do that, I want to do a couple of shout outs. The first shout out is Damon from Black Warrior Lures. He has helped me with this project, with advice, with parts, and with his YouTube channel. Check it out in the iCard above. He has a ton of great mud motor build videos, along with other great information. I also want to thank Beaver Dam Mud Runners. They are a Tennessee-based company that sells these kits. This is their lightweight kit. It's actually designed for a 2.5 horsepower Predator. They told me that they have a few people testing it with a 6.5 and it's working just fine. And lightweight is something that I need for such a small boat. Now this video will not replace an instructions manual, but I will show you step by step along with some clips of what we did to put this kit onto this motor. Obviously you got to start out with the engine itself. This is a 6.5 horsepower Predator engine you get from Harbor Freight. Now, one of the important things to remember, the shaft that comes with this engine has a little keyway on the shaft. Do not lose that. If you lose that key, you're not doing this project. The keyway came on the shaft with a zip tie. Now, the first part you put on this is the shaft adapter. The shaft adapter goes over the shaft and the keyway. It's actually a two-part piece. The part that mounts to the engine is silver. The part that mounts to the kit shaft is a black piece. You put the silver piece over it, it's going to be a tight fit, so you might need a rubber hammer and you might not. Now once the adapter is over the shaft, you have to put a bolt in it to hold it in place. I call that a crankshaft bolt. Make sure you put a little bit of Loctite on it. I put the medium Loctite on here because someday I may need to take this all apart. The Predator motors, they're not a Honda. They won't last forever. Once that's in place, you put that black kit shaft adapter onto the silver adapter and it just screws on there. Put a little bit of Loctite on it. We use two robo grips to tighten the two together. And that's pretty much the end of the adapter. The shaft would go into that, but we don't do that yet. We have to put this casing on that you see right here. This casing protects it. It also allows you to oil the shafts. And it also has the mounting bracket on it as well. You put it on the motor with these 4 bolts, and remember to tighten them like you tighten lug nuts across from each other. And remember that this casing is aluminum. Over tighten it, you could strip it out and then ruin the motor. Put a little bit of Loctite on them as well. This kit came together when we got it, which made it a lot easier. You have the green part, the golden part, and the silver part. Because it was all together, we would just had to put the 4 bolts in and tighten it to the motor. Now, you could put the shaft in right now, and I think the instructions said to put the shaft in, but we didn't because we wanted to be able to move the motor really easy when we put the handle on. You have the handle bracket that goes on the mounting holes on the bottom of the engine, and then the handle goes into it. Really simple. The complicated part is the throttle line. From what I'm told, the 2.5 horsepower engine doesn't have the parts for the throttle cable. So the parts come with the kit if you get it for the 2.5. For the 6.5, this already has the parts needed. You loosen the 1 bolt, so the throttle is loose. So when you pull on the throttle, it kicks back using the spring. And then you mount it. One is the anchor for the line, and the other is where the throttle goes to pull it in and out. You have to take this air filter off, so just be careful when taking the hose and everything apart. This is obviously the most complex part of this build. Thankfully, I had help from my buddy Randy. He is a genius when it comes to carburetors. We actually put this on as well before we put the throttle, and then we put it in there and locked it in. Like I said, read the manual. It will show you how to put that together. Now this is another complex part, which I haven't even zip tied on yet. It's the safety. You put a lanyard on this, and when the lanyard gets yanked out of that, it kills the engine, which is highly recommended to have on something like this because the prop will slice you to bits if you fall on it. And as I just said, use the manual to see how this gets wired up. I actually wired this up, and my buddy Randy, he zip tied it in there and made sure that I had it wired right. Now you have an oil sensor. The oil sensor line goes to this piece, and then it goes over to the cutoff. And this kit wires into that wire between this and the cutoff. And then you have a ground that you put up here. I forgot what specific letter you're supposed to put these on. It's in the manual. Make sure you put it on that letter or this thing will not work. A lot of people cut these off too. We didn't. We left it there for no reason. And then we put the shaft in. This was a little bit more difficult. We had to take this bracket and slide it down in order to get it to line up and go into the housing. It took a little bit of effort. We had to wiggle it around, and eventually we got it in, and this alignment screw aligns to a hole that's on the shaft. That showed us that we had it in there all the way. When we put the screw in, it goes into that other hole and kind of holds it in place. And then we moved this bracket back up and tighten all the bolts, and it's tightened down. We also had to put these in. This is for grease to go into the shaft. There's 3 of them you have to add, 2 on the end and 1 up here. And then we put the aluminum prop on, and that's simple. There's just a washer, a nut, and the prop. This doesn't come with the prop on it. It comes with a metal spacer instead of the prop, so you got to take the metal spacer off and put the prop on. These props are pretty cheap to replace, and you get a spare one with a kit. I'm expecting myself to chew through them pretty quick since I'm new to this. Of course, you have to have the transom mount, and it just drops down in there with a bolt on the bottom. I don't have everything completely tightened yet. I will definitely tighten and check everything before I go out on the water with this. But yeah, this is the Beaver Dam Mud Runners lightweight mud motor kit on a 6.5 horsepower Predator engine from Harbor Freight. Mounted on a Tracker Topper 12W, 36 inches wide on the bottom and 12 foot long. Now let's get this started. Coming out the end. That's why you got to grease it out every now and then. The emergency shut-off switch worked perfectly fine. Looks like everything's working. Next is to get this in the water. I'm going to have to redo my trailer, which is going to be pretty complex. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and publish this video of us putting this together and testing it. And then I'll do a video of it on the water, either fishing or as a test run. I haven't decided yet. But as always, thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe. And check out the description below for the Beaver Dam Mud Runners website. Thank you.